All right, back to our breaking story now. Former U.S. President Donald Trump being ordered to pay $5 million in damages. Let's get reaction now with Daily Maverick Associate Editor Brooks Spector. Brooks, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. It's a civil matter, and therefore the jury not really deciding on whether he's guilty or not, but rather whether he is liable or not liable. What did the jury have to decide on? What information do they have at their disposal?
Well, they had a whole range of things. They had testimony by the accuser. They had a variety of other witnesses. They even had earlier statements by the former president that he had no idea who the woman was until somebody managed to show photographs of them together, and statements by him saying that, well, he got her confused with his second wife. So, I mean, there was a certain amount of disbelief, I guess, on the part of the jury. You're quite right, though, to note it's not a criminal decision. It was a civil matter. The decision by the 9-person jury, or was it 6 men, 3 women, decided, or was still, sorry, the other way around, 6 women, 3 men, that the damages were liable for her to receive because of, among other things, the damage to her reputation. She was a name in public, and he had dragged her name through the mud. Now, it should be noted that he can appeal the decision, which would, of course, delay any possible payment. What he would do, of course, if he appeals, is it would drag the issue and an appellate process probably into the new year, which of course is the beginning of the presidential primary season, and so you'll have this bizarre spectacle of an appeals court proceeding on the decision, even as Donald Trump might be campaigning in a primary state. And we should also add, and everybody's probably tired of hearing it at this point, there are all those other possible cases that are pending. There's the effort to commit voter fraud in Georgia. There are the 2 cases that Jack Smith, the special prosecutor for the Department of Justice, is investigating, whether or not he illegally took and held on to confidential, classified, and top secret material, and did he, in fact, encourage the mob to try to seize the Capitol building. There is the case in New York City about the payment to Stormy Daniels, the porn film star, which the district attorney is arguing that the payoff was done in an illegal way to fraudulently arrange business financing, business transactions, and that they in turn had an impact, or were presumed to have an impact, can't get ahead of ourselves just yet, on his presidential campaign, because you don't really want a campaign in which somebody is saying, wait a minute, you had an affair in the middle, just as the campaign was coming to its conclusion. And there are pending tax matters as well.
Yeah.
Add one more footnote that Donald Trump is renowned almost for appealing things, moving them into other layers of the judicial system, and stalling or even not paying fines that have been levied through a variety of court actions. It's the American version of the Stalingrad strategy, something you may have heard about here.
Yeah. But is Trump likely to ignore all that? I mean, if you look at his immediate reaction now on social media to the outcome of this particular trial, he says, I have absolutely no idea who this woman is, and he says the verdict is a disgrace and a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time. Is he just going to dismiss this as a witch hunt, something that's trying to derail him from his campaign?
Well, he can try to dismiss it, but I mean, the court has now spoken. The fine has been levied, and if he doesn't appeal it, the fine sticks, and then they'll have to figure out how to enforce it. That's so the question, will be, in a sense, will Ms. Connell ever receive the money that has been awarded to her, given Donald Trump's track record in warding off payments of a whole long list of other proceedings and findings in various courts throughout his life. But without question, this is going to capture the headlines, and it's just one more version of his inability to, how should we say it, come fully to grips with his past.
All right, you've already mentioned, in terms of the legal landscape to be considered, as things stand, Trump has been impeached twice, indicted once. He's also currently at the center of several other ongoing criminal investigations facing him, including some other civil litigation, and a jury today handing him this latest legal defeat. Perhaps what would be the greater societal impact, knowing how divisive a character he's been?
Well, he's got more, how shall we put it? He has, in a sort of an unpleasant way, he's got more courage than anybody else in politics. No matter what comes along, he simply just bowls ahead and browbeats people out of his way. The problem is eventually these court decisions, these findings, these fines, the charges, they'll begin to mount up, and he's going to spend more and more time and more money in fending off such decisions. Once the cases from the Department of Justice Special Prosecutor become the matters of court proceedings, that's going to eat up an awful lot of time. It's going to eat up a lot of money, and it's going to move the focus away from any ideas he has about what he would be as a president, again, to keeping himself out of even deeper legal trouble. Having said all that, and it is astonishing to me, to you, and to so many other people, that there are still millions of Americans who are prepared to march through the fire on his behalf.
Are there going to be more such cases? Would this in any way maybe embolden other victims of Donald Trump to speak out and certainly come up?
Well, that is a heck of a good question. It really is. There probably are lots of such people out there who feel that this will now give them an opportunity that they didn't have before, because the way the New York state law has been changed over the years, the statute of limitations doesn't apply in the way it might in some other kinds of cases, because, again, it's not a criminal proceeding. It was civil litigation. And you asked a very interesting question. It is entirely possible, if there are other such women out there, they may now feel now is the time to step forward as a precedent, as a finding. The tide is with us on this, and that could really be the kind of thing that puts a spoke in the wheel of his presidential campaign.
Daily Maverick Associate Editor Spector, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on with us tonight.